us now. I'm taking you through the various newspapers that we have today. I'll start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Here's what's on the front page of the paper today. Culture of silence not here, according to President Akufo-Addo as he spoke in Cape Coast. Mali suspended from ECOWAS. Akufo-Addo urges leaders to help restore democracy. Still on the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper, Commonwealth or commemoration of World No Tobacco Day. Smokers urged to seek counseling. There's some startling figures that I'll be bringing to you. Also, Chambers endorses pretty tough, and pretty tough is in quote, pretty tough measures against Galamsey. That's Ibn Chambers. If you go to the center spread of the paper, it's actually a news feature. And I would love it if you can see what I'm seeing in the center spread of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Fighting Galamsey, our water, our life, and essentially a tour of some of the water bodies that we have in our country, the ones that have been polluted. So you see raw water intake points at Daboase in the western region, and the kind of water that is going, through the process so that homes can receive the water. You'd see this in a little while. This is the center spread of the Daily Graphic newspaper. It's a feature highlighting how the water, Pra River, for instance, has turned milky brown. And then there's also sections of the Fin River at Dunkwa Onofin obstructed by Galamsey activities. So it's just the distraction and the situation as we find it in our country today. There's an area view of the devastation caused to the Pra River by Galamsey activity. So apart from the obstruction, there's also the distraction itself of the water. So in some situations, you won't find any water at all, even though it's a river. They've just diverted the course. And then you'd find what's the definition of water again? Let's all remind ourselves. It's supposed to be colorless, right? But what we find. So essentially, what the feature is highlighting is the fact that we don't even have water because it doesn't meet the definition, the common definition of water. On the back page of the Daily Graphic, there are some sports stories there. Legon Cities, apparently it was a shock. They shocked Ash Gold at Obuasi. It's not surprising, though, that Kumasi Asante Kotoko drew. Not surprising at all. But that's what you find in the Daily Graphic newspaper by way of the headlines. I'll come back and highlight on some of the stories that we found on the front page of the paper. But let's move to the Ghanaian Times newspaper. On the front page of the Ghanaian Times, Mali's political crisis. ECOWAS leaders commit to peaceful resolution at a day's extraordinary meeting here in Accra. Also, police chase killers of Karaga DCE's driver. 1,000 rendered homeless by tidal waves in Ketu South. Free SHS reverse decades of exclusion. That's according to President Akufo-Addo there. If you go to the page 3, where we have the crime-related stories, we're told that a 31-year-old man has been sentenced to 12 years imprisonment with hard labor by the Jasikan Circuit Court for attacking and robbing a mobile money vendor of unsuspected sum of money at Likbe Kokroensumi. Details of that story is on page 3. And then police chase killers of Karaga DCE's driver. Full story is also on page 3 in the Ghanaian Times. 21 suspects remanded over alleged same-sex sexuality. So these 21 are suspected to be engaging in same-sex sexuality. They've been remanded in police custody by a whole circuit court to reappear on June 4, 2021 for their plea to be taken. So this is a brief by the police PRO in the Volta region. He confirmed the story to the Ghanaian Times in Ho and said that preliminary charges of unlawful assembling has been preferred against the suspect, who were expected to reappear in court on June 4, 2021. It gives a good background where they were found at about 11 a.m. The Volta Regional Police Command received information that some persons had converged, and this was on May 20. They had converged at the Nurses and Midwifery Hotel in Ho and were engaging in activities believed to be same-sex sexuality. So the police proceeded to the hotel and arrested 21, made up of 16 females and 5 males. And according to him, police investigations uncovered literature on LGBT plus and retractable banner to the fact that they were advocating same-sex sexuality. Police arrest 25 motorcycle riders. Also another story. So they were picked up in an operation last Wednesday. The exercise, which was conducted in the Central Business District, was to ensure sanity on the road. If you look at the center spread, well, details of what's on the front page by way of the ECOWAS action, and then the free SHS where the president was honored, really, and then you find in the center spread a painted portrait presented to him at the program. On the back page, sports, Kotoko hold Diana at Doma, and then the Legon City's shock. Okay, so this is the second headline in another newspaper that describes Legon City's win as a shock. So that's what's on the back page of the Ghanaian Times newspapers, the sports stories on the back page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Let's bring you now from the Ghanaian Times newspaper. We move to the Daily Guide newspaper. On the front page of the Daily Guide, petition hits Kosa appointment. He dismisses spurious claim. Chief fights MC over court summons. Nana rejects culture of silence. ECOWAS leaders in for Mali crisis. Agina chiefs chase VRA over failed promises. These are the stories on the front page of the paper with details in the inside pages. If you go to the center spread, the News One Entertainment, Ghana media is toxic. That's media personality Vanessa Jan, who's described working in Ghana's media scene as toxic, and commended colleagues who have been speaking the truth about their bad experiences in the media space. Eddie Watson mourns late mother. Wizkid, Burna Boy, Diamond Platinums for 2021 BET Awards. If you look at the back page of the paper, still sports. Chelsea is still celebrating with supporters all across the world getting involved in the jubilation as well. Well, we hate it, but they did a fantastic job. So congratulations to Chelsea and all the fans. Let's go through the Daily Dispatch newspaper. On the front page, over 50% of prisoners between 18 to 25 years prisons service. So over 50% of the prisoners are between 18 to 25 years. This is a very productive age, and they all find themselves in prison. We will be bringing you a lot more on the subject. June 4th, 1979, explosion, Quatson's overview. Fire service personnel arrive in a taxi to douse burning house with extinguisher. It comes with a picture of a fire extinguisher. And I'm hoping that that's not what the fire officers carried on them in that taxi to a house that was in flames. We will see what the details tells us. Stop trivializing crusade against Galamsey. That's Stephen Amor making that call. But I'm interested in this issue of the fire extinguisher. Story says it's on page 11. Okay, so let's go to page 11 and let's catch up. All right, here it is. So residents of Achim Begro in the eastern region were shocked on Thursday, May 27, when firefighters in the district arrived at the scene of a fire outbreak in a taxi holding a fire extinguisher. A raging fire gutted a single-room house occupied by a family of 4, but the Ghana National Fire Service responded very late to the scene and in a strange manner. According to eyewitnesses, The fire started Thursday morning. The youth, however, in the community mobilized to fight the fire with water and sand. Before the arrival of the fire personnel, the fire had already consumed the building and properties, as well as 3,300 Ghana cedis cash. Outbreak was reportedly caused by gas leakage, and according to reports, the family of 4 has been displaced. Mother of 2 is, however, traumatized and on admission at Salvation Army Clinic in Begro. Meanwhile, residents in Achim Begro have expressed their disgust at the manner in which the fire service appeared at the scene, helpless. Amazing. So really, they did not just go in a taxi, but they also carried a fire extinguisher along with them to go and fight the fire that was raging, consuming a whole structure. Unbelievable. Don't even know what to say to that, really. How does that boost your confidence if you find yourself in a situation like that? But I'm sure there will be an explanation, really, why they would go not only in a taxi, but also carry a fire extinguisher with them. But let's check out what's in the Today newspaper. On the front page of Today, after brutal assault on City FM journalist, gang of 4 reassigned, and gang of 4 is in quotes. And this story is by a former editor of mine, Richmond Kilson. It says, a special investigation set up by the Ministry of National Security to investigate actions of the security operatives who assaulted a journalist at City FM concluded that the conduct of the said officers was against the ministry's operation standard. And that's also in quotes. Let's see. It's intriguing. It's intriguing details of their conduct relating to their brutalities were not given. Indeed, that fueled the suspicion among a section of Ghanaians that the ministry's investigation was simply a facade. Well, I'll leave the rest for you to read and where they've variously been taken to. We heard Azugu was taken back to the Ghana Police Service. Of course, we know about the Lieutenant Colonel who's also gone back to the army, but you might want to catch up on the other 2 in this piece. Social media necessary evil, according to a lawyer. That's also a piece for stories on page 3. It says former Executive Secretary of Vice Chancellor's Ghana, Peter Kaba, has described the social media as a necessary evil. He explained that it is good that we have what is called the internet, which has made communication easier and faster, but it comes also with a price which we must pay for. He further explained that the price to pay could cost us if it is not properly regulated by the not regulated by bodies put in charge to ensure that the system is not abused. Let's look at the back page of the paper. Well, City boss Guardiola blamed for Chelsea win. Full story of that on the back page of the paper. It comes with celebratory pictures of Chelsea lifting the Champions League trophy. Let's look at the Finder newspaper next. On the front page of the Finder, GCB Bank records 610.83 million Ghana cedis profits before tax for 2020. Government must act on any Springfield utilization directive to protect its interests. Culture of silence claims are without basis, according to President Akufo-Addo. Free SHS has reversed decades of exclusion and has enhanced access and quality, according to the president, who was essentially responding to a series, really, which was highlighting the challenges being confronted by the policy, which has largely really not been denied by the Ghana Education Service. They say that they are improving it. And they also say that based on the last results, it has not been affected. Contact hours have not been affected and results have been great. Still on the front page of the paper, GMA demands restoration of laboratory physicians forced out of work. ECOWAS committed to ending crisis in Mali. There's been a suspension. That's the very latest from the ongoing talks in Ghana. Let's do the Republic Press newspaper. Front page, Akufo-Addo replies, Sam Jonah says no culture of silence in Ghana. Where not only burning equipment, Operation Halt has arrested 45 people. That's according to the Minister for the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Godfrey Dame. Education Ministry to establish front desk to address concerns of teachers is also another story in the paper today. Brian Champon Foundation donates 2 units KG classroom to Kwewu Akuma. GMA warns Kath Kolebu over lab scientist strike. Robbers kill Karaga DCE's driver. And that's how the front page of the Republic Press looks like today. Let's bring you the Business and Financial Times. And on the front page, rising fuel prices, new taxes likely to keep policy rates static. Analysts as inflation forecast remains gloomy. Government must act on E&I Springfield utilization now, according to IES. FDA sustains anti-tobacco education in schools and public places. On the 2021 census, data will improve livelihoods, according to the president. Apps and mobile solutions secures $1 million investment from Oasis Capital. And on the back page of the Business and Financial Times, let's take advantage of COVID-19 to develop economy. That's FBN Bank Managing Director making that call. And Goil is your oil marketing company of choice, according to the group CEO and Managing Director. We've got another business newspaper, which is the Economy Times. So I'm just going to follow up with the Economy Times newspaper. Ghana's debt climbs up to 304.6 billion Ghana cedis. Tours continues non-operational to costs Ghana hugely, according to energy experts. I think we've talked about on this show how tour continues to be in debt. Bank of Ghana holds policy rate at 14.5%. If you go to the back page of the Economy Times, double effects of renewable energy transition faces Ghana. Confidence in financial market to rise as a 10-year strategic plan is launched. And resettling the economy post-COVID-19 would take 3 years. So the first deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana has indicated that resetting Ghana's economy back to resilience would be a gradual process over the next 2 or 3 years. This would require the collective collaborative support of both the private and private sector or sectors, he said, while outlining some short-term strategies to reset Ghana's economy. And that's the Economy Times newspaper. Maybe the last newspaper, by way of what's on the front page, will be the Daily Statesman newspaper. And then I'll bring you some details in the Daily Graphic newspaper. So here's what's on the front page of the Daily Statesman. La Mankra Leclerc's Ajay Mensah Kosa over land disputes. You might want to check out details of that. Let's listen and hear others. Akufo-Addo responds to culture of silence claims. Educationist Lords Ghana's improved teacher education. Okay, they've got some sports stories on the back page of the paper. But let's take you to the Daily Graphic newspaper, a bit of what's on the front page, the banner headline by way of the lead story. President Akufo-Addo has said he will not do anything to gag the press, nor preside over a culture of silence. He noted that as a human rights lawyer who had spent a greater part of his adulthood promoting and protecting the freedom and rights of his country and individuals, it would be ironic that his person or his government would promote a culture of silence. The president said he had been a critical and integral part of promoting for the country a constitution that upheld the freedom of association, speech, and the media, the separation of powers, the rule of law, a strong and vibrant environment, and a private sector that made people prosper and would do nothing to jeopardize the gains made in that direction. And he was speaking at a special congregation at the University of Cape Coast last Saturday. Well, That has also got quite a bit of interpretation in terms of people saying that, well, Mr. President should just allow people to have their say on issues and not think that by them talking or criticizing some policies of his, it means that they're against him, essentially. But we'll open up this discussion heavily when we settle on talk with our guest. And, you know, some people have also said that it's because of what they experience when they speak, the kind of attacks that they get. That's why they think there's a culture of silence. And if only the president will listen, then he would understand where they are coming from. But, you know, I guess we're all entitled to our opinions, if you like. He's the president. He doesn't necessarily see things the way some other people also see it. And then on this issue of smokers being urged to seek counseling, there's some startling figures. I'm going to page 24 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Okay, so this will be 24 and 57 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. And it says, for instance, that currently more than 425,200 men, 69,200 women, and 2,700 boys are estimated to be using and smoking any form of tobacco product in the country. So this year's celebration, today actually is World No Tobacco Day, and this year's celebration is on the theme, Commit to Quit. Commit to Quit. So the FDA is pointing to some centers. For instance, we have the addictive disease centers at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. There's the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, the Pantine Psychiatric Hospital as well, Ankafo, and the Valley View Clinic in the Greater Accra region. There's the Adom Clinic and the Komfanoche Teaching Hospital in Kumasi, and Sunyani and the whole regional hospitals. If you've been trying to stop smoking and you need some kind of support, these are places that you can go, ask questions, let them talk to you, talk to them as well. But the theme is commit to quit. I like that, commit to quit. At least commit to quit. And then eventually you can get there. Highlights the issues associated with smoking and the fact that even in times of COVID, you stand a greater chance of dying because you are a smoker if you got COVID-19. So I think these are the two stories from the paper that I would highlight. I'll leave the rest to when we go on myjawline.com, and then I will talk about the Mali situation. Maybe we can do a bit of that whilst we get ready to go on myjawline.com. We'll see the full story there. But military leaders seized power for the second time in 9 months, and that's what's brought about this gathering and the sanctions thereafter. So that's the details. We will bring that to you on myjohnline.com pretty shortly. Maybe I can just go through what's in the Daily Graphic newspaper. So page 13 in the paper, here we go, and it's on Mali. President Akufo-Addo has urged heads of state and government in West Africa to remain resolute in their support for the people of Mali, for them to find a peaceful solution to the political challenges and restore democracy and stability to that country. He said it was incumbent on the leaders of the regional bloc, the Economic Community of West African States, to critically examine the dynamics of the current situation in Mali and make informed decisions. But this is what came out of the meeting. ECOWAS has essentially suspended Mali's membership from the bloc following last week's military coup, the second in 9 months. The coup leader and now interim president, Colonel Assimi Goita, attended the meeting in Accra. Shelley Ayoko-Botchwey, essentially, that's our foreign affairs minister, briefed the media where she talked about the fact that the bloc has called on Mali to nominate a new civilian prime minister immediately to adhere to an 18-month transition period and to hold presidential election next February. So Colonel Goita seized power after ordering the arrest of the transitional president and prime minister. How to solve Mali's coup conundrum? Well, we're not sure. It happens, it goes, and then it comes back again. Will this be the last time that we're meeting like this in Accra. The first time was at the Pediatric Lodge, and this time again coming on the back of another coup. Let's check out the rest of the stories on myjoyonline.com. Esikumo Dobin Brakwa police arrest couple for allegedly burying son alive. Can we just click on that story so we can appreciate it better? There's also the strike action still on in other regions, and I'm talking about the medical laboratory scientists. We will be on the ground with our reporters to find out if really they are still striking, because we know that the National Labour Commission has secured an injunction. They're expected to call off the strike, get back to the table, sit down with them and have a conversation. But the Ghana Medical Association is also really in the mix of things, and it's becoming a fight between them and the laboratory scientists. Can we check out, if we have the story now, a bit of details of the main story there? Okay, so shall we just go down? I want the beginning of the story so I can share. Let's just, so let's just go up a bit. So it says a couple, just a little down. If we're not getting it, we'll leave the... So a couple at Breman, Brakwa in the Central Region have been arrested by the Esikumo Dobin Brakwa police for allegedly burying their 2-year-old son alive. They were convinced by a fetish priestess that their child, who can neither talk nor walk, was a spirit child and had to be killed. Narrating what happened, Abubakar Mohammed, a tenant of the couple, said at midnight on Monday, Paul Adoba and Mamiata and the fetish priestess dug a grave and buried a 2-year-old alive. Unbelievable. And this is 2021. This just happened last Monday. The rest of the story, a very tragic story, is on myjoyonline.com. I'll leave the rest for you to explore because of time. But we have a little time to take you through what's on the BBC. So let's do the BBC page. And I guess for some of us, one of the things that happened in the UK was the marriage between these two, the British Prime Minister and his girlfriend or fiancé, got married. They say in a secret wedding, really. Okay, so that's it for the review. You've seen the papers. You can go to the newsstands and grab the papers and read thoroughly if you find any of the subjects interesting. You can also log on to myjoyonline.com, where we have a lot of news as well. We've got sports coming your way, after which we will settle down and talk about some of these matters in detail. The issue of the culture of silence, the president's response. Some say he's responding to some Jonah. But we'll look at critically what he also had to say, and then we'll also look at his comments on the free SHS as well. We'll talk about the sad, tragic incident of that 11-month-old baby who was mistreated, and that led to her death, we understand. Parents released a press statement. We'll share that in detail with you. We're told she was going to turn 1 next month, but sadly she didn't live to see her first birthday, even though they were all looking forward to it. We've got some other big issues in the country to look at, so stay with us. Sports coming your way next. I guess it's all Chelsea, isn't it? But check the local league table again, and you find that the Great Oak is still up there. Stay with us.